Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into an idea that honestly sounds a bit like time travel. We're going to explore whether a 2,000-year-old Indian text could actually serve as the blueprint for a modern superpower's future. I know, it sounds wild, but trust me, as we unpack the source material today, you are going to see just how strikingly relevant this ancient wisdom is to our most cutting-edge challenges. So, let's start off with a pretty provocative question. Can a 2,000-year-old text genuinely guide a rapidly developing nation toward its massive goals for the year 2047? We usually think of ancient philosophies as, well, just ancient history. But what if they actually hold the practical day-to-day keys to things like modern governance, economic stability, and even surviving disasters? Here's a quick look at our roadmap for today. First, ancient governance, modern goals. Second, Kautilian economics and welfare. Third, defining and categorizing disasters. Fourth, localizing disaster risk management. And finally, number 5, a blueprint for sustainability. Okay, to kick things off, we really need to define our core text. The Arthashastra was written by Chanakya, also known as Kautilya or Vishnugupta, who was the mastermind behind the founding of the ancient Maurya Empire. Now, the word artha is super broad. We're not just talking about money here. It encompasses the actual livelihood and the territory of the people. And Shastra simply means science. So put it together, and it's literally the science of acquiring and maintaining the wealth of a nation to achieve a much higher purpose, known as dharma. Moving right along to Section 1, Ancient Governance, Modern Goals. Kautilya came up with this brilliant concept called the Saptanga theory. He basically argued that a state is like a living organism made up of 7 interdependent limbs. You've got the Swamin, which is the king, the Amatya, or the bureaucracy, the Kosha, meaning the treasury, and a few others. And what's fascinating is how modern India's armored Kal vision maps almost perfectly onto these ancient limbs. It focuses on democratic leadership, institutional reform, and capital formation. It's like the ancient framework is just wearing modern clothes. The key takeaway here is this. Sure, we've shifted from a monarchy to a democracy, and we've traded an agrarian economy for tech-driven industries. Structurally, things are completely different, but philosophically, they are identical. The fundamental need for a balanced state, where a healthy treasury funds your infrastructure and a solid bureaucracy actually serves the people, that hasn't changed one bit over 2 millennia.
All right, let's dive into Section 2, Kautilian economics and welfare.
Now, this is where Kautilya gets incredibly modern, especially regarding taxation. He had this great metaphor, saying taxes should be collected like a bee gathering honey. Think about it. The bee takes exactly what it needs to sustain the hive, but it doesn't destroy the flower in the process. Actually, it helps it. By advocating for a system that takes just enough without crushing economic activity, he was pushing for a growth-friendly fiscal policy thousands of years before modern economics was even a thing. But he didn't just care about collecting wealth. He was obsessed with protecting the people who actually generated it. This blew my mind. Kautilya outlined a comprehensive labor code. He explicitly recognized labor as an active factor of production. He slapped strict restrictions on an employer's rights, making it a literal crime to deny someone their wages. There was even a total ban on child labor for kids under 8, and workers had the right to unionize. We are talking about a full-fledged welfare state operating in ancient times. And as for the economy itself, agriculture wasn't just some side gig. It was the absolute nerve center of the kingdom. While mining only filled the treasury with coins, agriculture filled both the treasury and the food storehouses. Kautilya was adamant that the state had to actively back this sector. We're talking state loans, advanced irrigation planning for unpredictable weather, and maintaining massive buffer stocks. The ultimate goal? Bulletproof protection against starvation. Which naturally brings us to a massive stress test for literally any nation, ancient or modern. How on earth does a state protect all that carefully built wealth, and more importantly, its citizens, when a sudden, catastrophic crisis strikes? That takes us to Section 3, Defining and Categorizing Disasters. First up, we've got to get our definitions straight. A disaster isn't just a hazard. An earthquake or a massive storm is a hazard. A disaster is what happens when that hazard collides with human vulnerability, and the resulting damage completely overwhelms a community's ability to cope on its own. Basically, it's the fallout of a risk that just wasn't managed properly beforehand. And here is a number that is just staggering. 95%. More than 95% of all hazard-caused deaths happen in developing nations. To make matters worse, the economic losses, when you look at them as a percentage of GDP, are about 20 times higher in these regions compared to fully industrialized countries. So having a serious resilience plan, Yeah, it's not a luxury. It's an absolute life or death necessity. Now, to tackle these massive risks, experts break them down into four main natural categories: atmospheric, terrestrial, aquatic, and biological. Of course, today we also have to worry about complex human-made technological failures. But figuring out exactly what kind of threat you're dealing with is step one for preparedness, whether you're in ancient India or the 21st century. Moving on to Section 4, localizing disaster risk management. So how do you practically fight these disasters on the ground? You empower the grassroots. In India, this is done through the Panchayati Raj institutions, formalized back in 1992. It's a brilliant three-tiered system. It starts right at the local village level with the Gram Panchayat, moves up to the block level, and then coordinates at the district level. This is decentralized local self-government in action. And why is this system so effective? Well, because the Gram Panchayat members actually live in the villages they serve. They use centuries of indigenous knowledge and deep community trust to get aid exactly where it's needed. We've seen this work wonders in the real world, like managing drinking water during brutal droughts in Gujarat, or running vital flood communication networks in Assam and West Bengal. They even use local assemblies to pinpoint their most vulnerable neighbors way before tragedy even strikes. Finally, let's wrap things up with Section 5, a blueprint for sustainability. When you zoom out, you realize Kautilya was playing a completely different game. True sustainability requires three solid pillars: economic, social, and environmental. And he nailed all three. Economically, he built an efficient treasury. Socially, he championed labor rights and shared effort. Environmentally, he actually mandated the creation of specific forests and strict water management. Flash forward to today's Amrit Kaal vision, and we are literally using those same pillars, just calling them MSME formalization, inclusive growth, and green infrastructure. And look, we're not just romanticizing the past here. Modern academic research across tons of disciplines completely backs this up. The idea that ecology, ethics, and economics all have to intersect isn't just some quaint ancient philosophy. It is a highly practical, rigorously tested framework for how a society survives and thrives today. By empowering the youth and actually blending this ancient administrative genius with modern technology, a nation can confidently build its future. It's all about bringing civil society to the table to architect a truly developed, resilient, and sustainable nation, a Viksit Bharat by 2047. So I'm going to leave you with this one provocative thought to chew on as we finish up this explainer. As we race toward future progress, crazy new tech, and economic growth, are we actually risking our own future by ignoring the incredibly sustainable, perfectly balanced blueprints our ancestors left behind? The Arthashastra is a powerful reminder that true wealth isn't just hoarding gold in a treasury. It's about the careful, deliberate preservation of our people and our earth. Thanks so much for joining me, and keep questioning the world around you.